When I saw the county's agenda, I wondered what digital ballot solutions were. And if you're wondering, you should listen along because the county asked Director of Elections Brian Beebe to come to the meeting and explain what exactly this new solution provided for Hood River and other counties in Oregon was going to do. Here's the information that came during that meeting on January 20th.
The point is that you had a citizen request more information.
Yeah, and it made me think, this is a time when people are very interested in our electoral processes and it is a little bit confusing. So at this time, I would like to ask Brian Beebe to come and explain.
Good evening, Chair Ewer, County Commissioners. For the record, my name is Brian Beebe. I'm the Director of Assessments, Records, and Elections for Hood River County. This is a consent. The item on the consent agenda is a request to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Secretary of State for a hardware and software solution paid for with grant funds to allow us more quickly and efficiently and accurately duplicate ballots when necessary. Election officials are sometimes required to duplicate a ballot because the ballot is not machine readable. Ballots that are not machine readable for two reasons, primarily because they're either from military and overseas voters that are submitted electronically or because they are damaged. So our current process is that military and overseas voters, and only military and overseas voters, are allowed to vote electronically. Because often the postal system isn't quick enough to get their ballots back to us in time to be counted to vote.
And this is state law.
This is a state law, correct? And so currently they mark their ballots. They can either get their ballot in the mail and mark it and send that back to us electronically, or they have an online marking tool. It's called enhanced voting that they've been using for several years now. Where they can mark their ballot and submit that back to us electronically. They submit their ballot, and we call it a ballot packet, either through fax or email. The ballot packet contains their voted ballot, a signed voter's statement, the one that everybody signs on the back of their return envelope, and then a signed secrecy waiver, so they give up their right to a secret ballot. Because we see it and they send it back to us through the email. This requires us to transfer the ballot information on those emailed ballots to a ballot that's actually machine readable that we can run through our election tabulators. And so currently that process is a manual process. We look at the email, we transfer it to the ballot, and then we keep the originals in a file. Verify that the duplicate ballot matches the ballot that was submitted, and then we have to store the original ballot. So what's new about this process is that these ballots that we're going to receive are going to have a barcode on them, and then we can just scan the barcode, and it'll automatically print out a ballot that matches the selections made by the voter. So it saves us the step of having to hand duplicate the ballot. Everything else about that process will remain the same. We'll still review that the ballot matches and those kinds of things. But what it'll do is it'll speed up the process and us having to duplicate those ballots.
You just said in those kinds of things. Could you just fill in a little bit, give us a little clearer color? So the barcode is going to result in printing out a ballot. What do you then do to make sure that that ballot accurately reflects the intent of the voter and that the voter is authorized to vote?
Visually compare it to the ballot that was submitted line by line.
And the verification that this person is allowed to vote?
Verification that a person is allowed to vote goes through the voter registration process. So that's when we determine somebody's allowed to vote. And we're not doing that when they're submitting their ballot. Other than checking that the signature on the voter's record matches the ballot signature that they're submitting on their ballot. So that's how we determine that the person that's submitting the ballot is the same.
How do they sign an electronic ballot?
So they're required to actually sign that ballot and then they send an image of that signed voter statement to us.
How many ballots do you process during a normal general election, and how many of those are we talking about as being overseas or military?
I don't have those exact numbers on you. My recollection in a general election is we're generally running at about an 80% turnout. We currently have 17,000 voters to give you an idea. And then the number of UACAVA, which stands for the Uniform and Overseas Citizen Absentee Voter Act. The number of those voters, we have less than 200 in our county.
So 200 out of maybe 15,000 ballots cast.
Yeah. And then the other thing the system's going to allow us to do is duplicate ballots. So sometimes ballots will come into our office that have, they'll be torn or they'll have something on them that'll prevent them from being scanned. And so we have to then duplicate ballots in those situations to get them to run through the ballot scanners. And so that process is very similar. We have to go get the same ballot. There's several different ballot styles depending on where you live, determines on what contests are on your ballot. So we have to go get the same exact ballot, and then two people sit down and they review the ballot and they mark it the same. And so what this system is going to allow us to do is essentially we'll be able to mark it on a screen versus hand marking it. And then when we print, we'll be able to print a label. So normally we stamp the two ballots and then we have to, make sure we match the numbers and everything. This system will allow us to print a label, put it on the original ballot, and do the marking on the screen. So
The two people who review the ballot, the replacement ballot, tell us the nature of those people.
yeah, so we anytime that a ballot is out of an envelope or in the process of being moved for an envelope, we work in teams of two people that handle the ballots, and they're teams of two people from two different political parties, so that there's checks and balances there. So
Is there a cost to this?
the system's grant funded, so it's being paid for by this grant. It's a federal grant that the state applied for the first 5 years of this program. So there's no cost to the county currently.
And then you'll have this machine that you won't have to buy because.
If we decide to keep using the program, there will be some ongoing costs after the 5 years, some support costs, and then potential equipment replacement costs. But it uses generally off the shelf type of equipment.
So this isn't a requirement of the Secretary of State's office that all elections offices have to do this?
It is not a requirement that all election offices have to do it. They didn't want to force counties to utilize it, but several counties chose to participate. And
Do you have any guesses to what percentage, if there are 6 counties, are the big counties using it, or how?
the larger the county, the more for sure that they're going to be using it, because it's going to save them significant amount of time. The smaller, we have some pretty small counties in Oregon, and so the smaller counties have opted against using it.
So there are counties that have decided against it.
There are some.
And are there any that have decided against it because of reasons of concerns about the security or accuracy of it?
That is not anything that I've heard of reasons cited for them choosing not to use it. So.
Thanks.
This doesn't change anything with the process on the voter side. They're still voting, marking their ballot using the same software that they've used previously. So this just changed how quickly we can process it on the back end.
Just after Commissioner Weathers' dog chews up his ballot and spits it out, you have a way to deal with it?
Yes.
You wouldn't
Good.
spit it out.
Oh, okay.
As always, we take great pride in educating voters and allowing observers to come in and observe our process and educate them about our processes. And we invite anybody that would like to come observe our processes to, during an election, please come see how Hood River County processes your ballot. So be happy to show them.
And this is a good example where, someone saw that we had on the agenda that we were discussing this and they said, hey, this sounds like something that might be important. And so they get to hear about it. So hopefully they're listening.
Yeah.
Please note that the dog pictured in the video is not Commissioner Weathers' dog. It is a dog from Ventura County, California. Here's a video from enhancedvoting.com of the actual equipment.
Election accuracy begins with transparency. Enhanced Remake modernizes ballot duplication, making it faster, more efficient, and fully transparent. It streamlines the process with precision and consistency, digitally tracking every step for complete confidence. This all-in-one solution features a responsive touchscreen, a barcode scanner for instant duplication, a high-quality ballot printer, and an automated label printer. Whether a ballot is damaged or delivered electronically, Enhanced Remake preserves each vote with accuracy. Ballots can be duplicated manually or instantly with a quick barcode scan. And the best part? It integrates seamlessly with Enhanced Ballot. Traceability is built in from start to finish with audit logs, real-time verification, and automatically printed labels that link original and remade ballots. Need flexibility? Optional rolling carts, storage cases, and public viewing kits easily adapt to your workflow. Built for efficiency, designed for trust. Join the election offices transforming ballot duplication with Enhanced Remake. Visit enhancedvoting.com and enhance your elections today.